A big what's up to everybody. Welcome back to the channel. How's everyone doing? Long time no talk. The Sixers have just finished their last difficult stretch of games this season, and we have a lot to talk about dealing with the future of the squad going into the playoffs. But before I begin, I want to say thank you to everybody who has been showing love to my last video. It's funny because I had no intentions of creating that last week. I was originally supposed to go down to the stadiums and do some in-person fan interviews at the Clippers game last week, but I wasn't able to, unfortunately. And this situation just goes to show that when life gives you lemons, you always make lemonade. Like, I could have been upset that I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do. I could have pouted all weekend and not created nothing in replacement, but instead I was like, let's see what I can brainstorm and come up with. And lo and behold, what I created garnered more views than I probably could have even gotten on those interviews. So that's just my positive message of this week. Sometimes life can change your plans in an instant, and rather than get upset, just go with the flow, because you never know what can come of it. Everything happens for a reason. But anyway, sub to a brother for more unique Sixers content. We are almost at 500 subscribers. I appreciate everybody. Like, y'all already know, I think we're like 5 people away. So, if you do watch my actual content and haven't subscribed yet, I would love it if you would. And if not, then you got that too. My goal is to become monetized by the beginning of December. You have to have at least 4,000 hours of watch time, which I basically completed. I'm like at 99% of the way there. And my next step to be completely monetized is to get 1K subs. So yeah, keep on doing what you guys are doing, because y'all know what we do here. Pretty long intro today, but you already know how it is with the promotion. So without further ado, let's get to the video. So since the All-Star break, the 76ers have been playing some really good basketball. They have the best defensive rating in the league. They're first in steals, they're second in blocks, and they have the second best record since the All-Star break. They're also top 10 in three-point percentage, free throw attempts, rebounding, and plus or minus. Not too shabby if we're being honest here. This team is a defensive juggernaut, and as the old saying goes, defense wins championships, which can bode well for our championship pursuit later this month. They currently hold a record of 39-21 and are second in the Eastern Conference at the moment, which isn't necessarily great, but it is what it is. I'd rather be second than, 6th. But anyway, we are 15-9 after the All-Star break. Many of our losses come in the last few games. The Sixers have lost 4 in a row, right? Let's take a look back to see what happened. So the first game I want to talk about is against the Clippers on April 16th, where we won 106-103. This was a game without Tobias, and the Clippers didn't have Kawhi, I believe. So it was a very fast-paced game. It kind of felt like a playoff game just because it was going back and forth each time. The Sixers did start off hot, but the refs did change the actual momentum to let the Clippers come back in the game, calling a blatant, dumb BS flagrant foul on Joel that was unnecessary. But yeah, it was a very good game, a very well-coached game by both teams. Patrick Patterson was giving the Sixers buckets, but at the end of the day, when it got down to it, the Sixers put in work and stopped the Clippers. Mainly Paul George. Shout out to Benny 1 point. The second game was against the Golden State Warriors, or Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors, on April 19th, where we lost 107-96. This was the first loss of many losses to come, and it was one word of why we didn't win. Well, it's actually 2 words. Steph Curry. And you can't even be mad at that loss, because Steph is going off. Now, I'm upset, but I'm pissed because I should have been at this game. My dumb self decided to go to the actual Nets game because I thought it was going to be, a playoff intensity game. Honestly, it's funny because I knew some BS was going to happen with load management on their end. I just didn't think it was going to be to that extent to where no one played except Kyrie. I could have at least got Blake, but nah. Brooklyn Nets, you owe me $100. I love, that's a very strong word. I'm low-key a Warriors fan. Don't tell no one that I said that between us. When the Sixers were trash during the actual process years, I definitely did love watching Steph and the Warriors come playoff time. So I do have a soft spot. I like, definitely seeing Bull grow and become who he is right now before who he was back then, Also played with him in 2K back in the day, with him and Monte Ellis on the actual PS3, and those were fun times. But yeah, we got murked straight up. The next game was against the Phoenix Suns on April 21st, and we lost 116 to 113. Now, I did go to this game as well, and it was way better than Nets game. Not even just because the Suns had their full roster, but the crowd was more into it against the Suns. I'm just satisfied because I got to see CP3, a magician with the ball in his hands. Like, I really enjoyed this game. One quick note on CP3 relating to the Sixers. It was reported by The Athletic this week that the Sixers heavily pursued CP3 in a trade during the offseason last year, but CP3 denied the request, and he would eventually obviously go to the Suns. Now, I believe this is just because CP3 didn't want to play for Morey, who shipped him off to OKC when they were together in Houston. I wouldn't want to come here either. But back to the game, honestly, so going into it, the Sixers proved me wrong. I really thought that it was going to be a blowout, just because, you know, they had their full roster and they are the second best team in the West, and we only had Joel Embiid and bench players and Danny Green. First off, shout out to Matisse. He had clamps on the book. I'm not really one for moral victories, especially this season of us being contenders. This is not 2016, but I mean, once again, it is what it is. You really can't win all these games. So after that, we had a 2-game stretch against the Milwaukee Bucks, our, you know, friends to the West in the Midwest. First game was the first game was on April 22nd, where we lost again, 124 to 117. It was a second of a back-to-back on the road without Ben. So what do you expect? We lost. Milwaukee was just hot from 3, and we had no offensive flow and no perimeter D. Now, question, I wonder why. I wonder if a certain player whose strengths are assists on threes and perimeter defense would have helped that game. Just a thought. The next game against the Bucks again yesterday, April 24th, where we lost 132 to 94, straight up L.
So, my eyes are correct.
No Ben and no Joel, who was a late scratch. We kept it close until the third quarter. I was wrong. I thought we were going to, you know, at least put up a fight until the fourth, but, you know, Giannis said, nah. There is not really much to say here. Without Joel, we lose to the Cavs and Grizzlies. Without Ben, we lose to the Blazers and Bucks. So obviously we need both of them to win. Let's move on, because that was, you know, nasty. Very, very nasty. Ben hasn't played the last 4 games due to an illness, but many people believe that it is actually because he's dealing with family issues at the moment. If you don't know the situation, look it up. I'm not really going to go into full detail, but I can't imagine what he is going through right now. So I'm sending him energy, light, and love. A lot of people are being hypocrites online, calling him a PUSS you know what for not playing the last few games, and they're the same ones who don't want him here in the first place. So, like, you know, keep the same energía, like, straight up. Philly fans are just annoying. And this is not me coming from an outside perspective. I am one too, so I am allowed to call us out on our BS. But anyway, observations from the team. By no means do I believe the last 5 games are an indication of what the Sixers will do in the playoffs. We haven't had our pieces the last few games, and honestly, I'm not even mad at the Suns/Dubs losses, just like, because you really couldn't do anything without your full roster. If anything, the fact that we were still in those games by themselves is a testament to Doc's coaching ability, which gives me hope going into the playoffs. As for Giannis and the Bucks, I mean, you don't want to get swept by them, but once again, who did we really have on our rosters? Now, if you want to talk about our first matchup of the year right after the All-Star break, there's no excuse. We should have won that game. There's no reason why we gave up a 20-point lead, even without Embiid in the lineup. Despite the loss, this shows that, like, you know, we do have some possibility of actually matching up with them. The reason why the Sixers are a good matchup against the Bucks is because of our size and speed. That can match up well with Giannis, because, you know, he's big and fast himself. So I'm really still not scared of the Bucks come playoff time if we do have to face them. Obviously, we would have to be healthy first, but I guess we shall see. George Hill, the new additional piece, he's looking pretty solid at the moment, and he is still acclimating himself. In the 4 games he has played with us, he is averaging 6.3 points, 1.3 assists. He is shooting 50% from the 3-point line. Now he's only shooting 1 per game, so it's a small sample size, but I mean, you still got to make your shots. And he is shooting 50% from the field. Now he does have a negative plus minus at what, like negative 9.3, but we haven't placed him in his role yet, which is the backup point guard, since we haven't been able to play with our full roster for the last, week or so. Give it time still. It looks like he is going to be given clutch time minutes come playoff time, which I have no problem with, and the odds are he's probably going to take Seth's spot. Seth, he hasn't been looking the same, especially since he, came back from the virus. Hopefully he's fine. I'm not really that concerned just because shooters shoot, but he's kind of, drawn. So the Sixers have just lost 4 straight and have dropped 1 spot in the Eastern Conference, now in the 2nd seed. Why aren't you concerned, Cain, you may ask? Because 1, we have the easiest schedule left in the NBA, at least according to Tank-a-thon. I don't see us losing more than probably 3 more games this year. And the second piece is we own the tiebreaker against the Nets. So hey man, I'm still confident at this point in the year. I remember when people were saying last week, the next 5 games are really going to tell us if the Sixers are elite or not. No, they have shown their strength this year. This is more about finalizing our seed. The Sixers are fine. They are what they are at this point. And honestly, it's anybody's chip this year. Obviously, you always go with LeBron. But really contextually looking at this thing, this might be the Sixers year, an actual chance we can get it done. So it is what it is. But I want to thank everybody for pulling up and listening to a brother think. Like, comment, share, subscribe with a Sixers fan if you feel so inclined. What do you think of the Sixers' latest skid? Do you think we are going to stop doing that skidding? That don't even make sense. But anyway, as always, them Bulls are mad because the process worked. My name is Cain, and I will see you next time. Peace.